Okay, I'm finally here doing this. Everything has gotten in the way and I'm also kind of sick at the moment. So um, I was kind of putting it off, but I was like, to be honest, something is just going to keep on getting in the way. So I'm just going to do it. If you are living with the fear of cancer returning, with the fear of becoming stage 4, if you finished treatment recently or some time ago and you just still feel completely lost, if you are having that feeling where you're wondering, when am I going to be the old me again? Am I ever going to have my old life back? This video is for you. So just in case you are new here, I was originally diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm now living with stage 4 breast cancer. And so here, when I'm talking about a recurrence, I'm not actually talking about a regional recurrence. I'm more talking about a metastatic recurrence. I feel like that is, while the first is frightening, I think that stage 4 is the most frightening idea for most people. And I kind of get that from the questions that I got in the Q&A in the last video, and then also just comments and things that are written underneath other videos. I think when you think about stage 4, you immediately think, well, that's a death sentence. And I mean, I definitely, before being diagnosed with stage 4, when I thought about it, one of the main things was that like the people that I knew with stage 4 were so sick and they were dying. So aside from the fact that I have a chest infection at the moment and I do look sick and sound sick, it's not that type of sick. I am stage 4 now, and thankfully I'm not on chemo. Chemo is something that I was really worried that I would have to do again, and maybe at some point in the future I will, but I don't. I'm on ribociclib, or the brand name is Kisqali, and it is a targeted therapy. And while it does have side effects, it's so much more tolerable than chemo was for me. The other thing is that, you know, while I was doing chemo, I couldn't live a normal life. I couldn't work. You know, I barely even remember the time when I was on chemo, just that so much of my energy was just in recovering from each cycle. And now I can live a normal life while I'm on treatment. And this is really exciting, okay? So Novartis, the company that makes Kisqali, released a press statement. So it's on the back of the NATALEE trial, and it is that Kisqali has been approved for use to reduce the risk of recurrence in hormone positive, HER2 negative early stage breast cancers. So if you're a stage 2 or stage 3, that's really exciting news. Okay, let's get into it now. So first thing that we're going to do is talk about how you are feeling. I basically just want you to understand that it is completely normal to feel this way. You are not alone in this feeling, and your feelings are completely valid. So let's look at it like this. You go through it all. Your surgeries, your chemo, radiotherapy, you're just going through the motions. Everything is really short term as well. So you're kind of like, you might be counting down each cycle of chemo. You could be like, okay, well, in 2 weeks, I'm going to have this surgery. And then 3 weeks later, I'll have this surgery. And then in 6 weeks, I'll be recovered from that surgery. And then I'm going to start radiotherapy. And then radiotherapy is every day. And you're like, I'm just going to get through 5 weeks or 6 weeks of this. And then suddenly it does all end. And the expectation is that when you finish treatment, that you're going to be really happy and relieved. But you don't feel that way. Suddenly, you don't have all these little short-term plans. You don't have all these little things that I just have to do the next thing. You're just released back. They say, enjoy your life. They say things like that. And you're kind of like, oh my God, how? What am I supposed to do now? You've just entered this unknown world, and you're expected to be able to navigate it. So you finish this treatment and everybody around you is like, oh my gosh, you're not sick anymore. And you're nearly afraid to say anything to them because you're kind of thinking, oh my gosh, if I say this, does that make me a narcissist? Oh my God, am I histrionic? Oh my God, do I have a personality disorder? And the answer is no, you don't. It's not like you loved being sick. You didn't. You hated being sick. You hated losing your hair. You hated throwing up all the time. You hated ballooning up from steroids. You hated the anti-hormonal therapy. You hated looking emaciated and super sick. I mean, no, you did not love any of that. I do think if you finish on radiotherapy that it becomes a lovely little routine. So I know for me and for a lot of people, we weren't able to work during our treatment because of how sick we were. So with radiotherapy, where you're going in every single day and it goes on for 5 or 6 weeks, you are basically driving in and out. My hospital was like in Dublin city centre, so it was about an hour and a half if traffic was bad to get there and then again to get back. You go in, you see the same people every day, you continue on conversations that you were having, you'll chat to people, you get to know other patients that are on the same routine as you. And honestly, I feel like it's a little bit like going to work. You know, you're commuting, you're going in, you just have this little kind of routine. It's obviously not work, but it's the same sort of, what you get from it is the same as going to work. And if you think about it, when somebody retires, they feel just as lost. So when that routine comes to an end, I really feel like it's the same thing as, you know, when someone retires, they're not ready to just stop working. They're kind of like, oh my God, now what? So no, you didn't love attention. You didn't love being sick. You just had this routine and you were a cancer patient and being a cancer patient was your life. And then quite abruptly, it stopped. Right after radiotherapy, I went back to work. Financially, I had to go back to work, but that wasn't the only reason. In my mind, I was saying, I'm not sick anymore. I kind of feel guilty about not working. I should go back to work. And I would say in hindsight that that was a big mistake. If you can afford not to go back to work, listen to other people's advice about that. A lot of people told me you need to take off. They were saying you need to take a year off. That actually sounds right to me now. But at the time I thought, what for what? But it is true. I busied myself so much straight away that I really didn't give myself the chance or the time to process what had gone on. And what goes on in this experience is trauma. It is trauma. Before making this video, I did go and do some research about it. And, you know, I read 2 different peer-reviewed papers. One said that 1 in 3, and another said 35% of cancer patients experience PTS, so post-traumatic stress. Very similar to PTSD, which we know that soldiers suffer from, or people who have experienced a catastrophic event, survivors of disasters, etc. You could be suffering with PTS, you might not even know it. It can manifest itself in so many ways. It could be anything from trouble sleeping to severe anxiety to just being completely detached from yourself. And then you end up going down this slippery slope because it all comes from your own thoughts. And that's why I feel it's so important to be able to change the way that you think about it. 100%, you do need to acknowledge your thoughts, you need to give them time, but then there needs to be acceptance. The negative thoughts can take over completely. I'm sure you're aware of that. If they do, or if they have, that's where it's so important that you need to change the way that you are thinking. And ultimately, the way that you're going to do that is that you need to accept this new version of life, this new version of you, and start enjoying your life again. And that's definitely easier said than done. It's not something that just will magically happen overnight. It does take work, and you have to really want to do it. You have to be committed that I am going to fix myself. I'd say it took maybe 4 or 5 months from the point of when I started to make changes in my life to the point of being happy, of liking myself, of knowing myself, and being able to enjoy my life again. So that's just from the point where I decided, okay, it's time to fix me. It actually took 4 years to reach that point. And I suppose, of course, I did want a change the whole time, but I was just not doing the right things to get there. So now that I have reached this kind of magical point, And I do know the things that I should have done and that I did do. I'm going to just share my experience with you, and hopefully you can get something out of it and it can help you as well. So I know I say it a lot, you know, I can be really laid back and relaxed about things, but I'm not a yogi, I'm not a meditator, I'm not a practicer of mindfulness or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with those things. It's just that they don't work for me because I did try those things in the past. What I do know is that talking is my therapy. So towards the end of 2022, I had put in the referral that I wanted to see a therapist. And the very start of 2023 is when I started doing those sessions. I recognized that I had some serious problems. I was not functioning properly anymore. My anxiety was through the roof. And I don't know how I actually was even able to make that appointment because honestly, I was so anxious about it that I considered phoning and canceling the whole thing. But then I met her. And when she kind of did the introduction thing, she just was making it really clear that what had to happen was that we were real and honest and open with each other, and that we would develop this relationship with each other, which, by the way, oh my God, by the end of it, I didn't want to leave her. Like, I feel like I still love her. And she's probably like, who are you? But honestly, oh God, it was the best thing that I ever did. One of the first things that she asked me was, what do I want to get out of this? And I don't know if I had answered it in the first session. It could have been in the second session. But she did tell me what I said at the end of it all. And I didn't even really remember saying it. But what I had said was, I want to know who I am, which sounds so profound now when I think about it, but it wasn't. It was really simple. It was that I had completely lost my sense of self. I was just lost in this world. And then this person just came into my life at the right time, and she just made me whole again. Specific kind of what people are feeling, what they're worried about, what they're asking, that kind of thing. Here are some examples of things that have kind of been flagged to me. When will I start feeling like the old me? How do I stop worrying about cancer returning? I've been released from cancer care and I'm feeling more anxious and alone than ever. So I've said it before and I will say it again. We will never, ever, ever be the same person that we were before our cancer diagnosis. So you're thinking, oh, I'm constantly, if I get a headache, I think it's cancer. I'm worrying about cancer coming back all the time. Of course, every pain, every lump, everything that happens, you're going to think that because that already happened to you. The person that you were before your diagnosis never thought that way. They never thought that way. Before you have a cancer diagnosis, you're walking around completely oblivious. Cancer happens to other people, not you. You're not going to get scanxiety. You're not going in for CTs just for the shits and gigs or whatever, you know? So you are a different person now and you cannot change that. So when I talk about changing your thinking, this is the first thing you need to change. You are not going to go back to being the person that you were before your diagnosis. You need to stop thinking that way because it is impossible. Ruminating on that is wasting your time. It is not serving you. It's going to get you nowhere and it's going to get you down. So instead, you need to learn to cope with the fear of cancer returning. There is no way to make it go away completely. It definitely lessens over time, but it can also be heightened by certain things, like when you have scans coming up and you get scanxiety, or if you're triggered by somebody else. But when it's not one of these moments, you can live a completely normal life. So obviously your next question is, how? First thing is talking. You need to be talking. You need to be talking about how you're feeling. You need to be talking. The first thing is, with your friends and family, you should probably get them to watch this video, or you should get them to watch other videos where people describe what it is like to be a cancer patient, particularly if you have not been able to articulate that to them, or you, for whatever reason, haven't been able to say it to them. The other thing is that, you know, I won't mention the person's name, but there's a person in my life who has been there the whole time, and I've said it to that person, how I'm feeling and everything. And then basically I just said, okay, can you please go and Google this and then come back to me and have this conversation? And they did, and they came back and said, I am so sorry that I did not know this. So it's the same thing, that you might think that you've explained to them how it feels and what it's like. Maybe they think it's only specific to you. So it's a good idea for them to actually get their heads around how bad it actually is for you. So the next people you need to be talking to are your medical team. This is so important. It's a really good idea to learn as much as you can about your specific case. Your medical team don't like to talk about statistics because it's not an accurate way of predicting a prognosis for you as an individual. When you take the time to discuss your specific case, so much of you is going to come into it. So for obviously, you know what stage your cancer was, if it was invasive, if the grading was low or high. And you could find that what you learn is that your odds are pretty damn good. Of course, the outlook might not be so great, but then at least you know. Third place to be talking is with other people who are going through the exact same thing as you. So you can find a Facebook group, or you could find an online forum, and it's specific to you. Perhaps it's a stage 2 breast cancer that was hormone positive and HER2 negative. So when you go looking for a group, then you're going to be looking for stage 2 or maybe even stage 3 breast cancer on anastrozole or on letrozole and Zoladex or whatever it is, really specific, so that you find people who are in the exact same position as you. Then you can be chatting with people who are going through the exact same thing as you. They can give you tips or advice. For me personally, you know, I've joined one of those kind of like very niche groups, very specific to what I am going through. And it has definitely been inspiring for me, you know, where I'd been told that there was a possibility of having 2 years left. I am now thinking, hang on a second, it's definitely possible that I could see my kids grow up. I'm not head in the sand or being unrealistic, but right now, the way things are going for me, there is nothing to suggest that I should be worried that I'm going to die next year. So the fourth thing is talking to a therapist or a counselor. I know for some people it isn't possible. It could be quite expensive, and maybe financially you can't afford to do it. But I would strongly suggest that if you can talk to your doctor about it and find out if there is a way that there's a publicly funded way to do it, or online you can find low cost, or I know in Ireland there are ones that you can do with a senior trainee therapist where it costs maybe 20 or 25 euro, depending on who you go to, for a 50-minute session. I just think if you're saying to yourself, no, I can't do that because I can't afford it, just make sure that you do your research on it and make sure that it is not possible, just because you never know. Never know until you check. So before starting therapy, you might be thinking, I don't need this. I don't even know what I would talk about. That's okay. That's normal. I also had no idea what I was going to say. If you knew what you were going to say or how it was going to go, then you probably wouldn't need the therapy, you know? You have no idea how it's going to go when you start. I definitely think that if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling worried, if you're feeling lost, that you do need to do it. You do need to go and see a therapist. And also, can we just nip this in the bud right now? There is nothing taboo or embarrassing about seeing a therapist. And anybody who tries to make you feel otherwise is just completely ridiculous. Imagine it was your physical health. Imagine you broke your arm and then someone said to you, oh my gosh, you couldn't see a doctor over that. That's so embarrassing. Come on. Genuinely, I feel like everybody now and then should go for a little bit of a therapy session, you know, just to keep their mind nice and healthy. So back to what I was saying, getting professional help from a therapist is crucial. If your mental health is not tip top, then physiologically you're gonna have problems too. It's a very real thing, you know, that, you know, when some people, when they're really, really anxious, they can't eat. You know, you could be depressed and have really, really bad headaches. You know, it does manifest itself in a physical way as well. And if you are not right, your body is you're not gonna be able to live that fulfilling, healthy life. So something that you can do for yourself while you're at home is avoid triggers and stop being so hard on yourself. So avoiding triggers is that online, and it could be me, but people who talk about cancer in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable or angry or anxious, you need to unfollow them. You need to stay away from cancer muggles. And if you are a follower of The Cancer Patient, you'll know that cancer muggles are people who have never had cancer before, but they read something in a blog one time and then have so much to say to you about it. Or they're a person who knows someone or knew someone that had cancer, and that person's cancer was so much worse than yours, and then they never shut up about it. Don't speak to cancer muggles about cancer. It's infuriating, and it only ends badly for you because nothing happens in their head. They still don't know how stupid they are. So the next thing is stop being unkind to yourself and give yourself a break. Your body, your face, lots of things about you might look different after cancer. And that's not your fault, and it's not your body's fault. You know, like really you and your body did an amazing job of getting yourselves through treatment. So you might not look like the perfect version of yourself that you would like to be, but I genuinely think that all of that comes later. So you just really need to be kind to yourself now. Just get out, get some fresh air, get a little bit of exercise every day, you know, or most days, and that's enough. Drink loads of water. Make sure you're eating loads of fruit and vegetables. And don't deny yourself of the lovely things, like treat yourself when you want to, whether that's, you know, that you're having popcorn and Maltesers when you're watching a movie, or you're like me and you eat 3 donuts in the bed one night. I also do all the things that I like doing, like getting my lashes done and doing my nails, and well, I did color my hair mad colors for ages, and you know, just do the little things that give you a little pick-me-up and make you feel good. Look after yourself, be kind to yourself, do all of those things. The next thing is acceptance. You need to accept this new life of yours. You have no choice. You're here. You have to just accept that this is it. This is the new life. Don't bother thinking, I can't accept this, I can't do this, I don't want this, I didn't ask for this. You're right, it's crap. But look, it's done now. You're here. It has happened. And there is nothing that you could have done. There is nothing that you could do now. There is nothing, no way to change it. You are now this new enlightened person. You have the benefit of seeing life in a way that other people can't. And it's time to look for the silver linings. And I'm not saying, oh, I look at life differently now. I grab life by the balls or whatever. Like, it's not that. What it is that I have learned not to sweat the small things. I used to panic and become so anxious about tiny little things in my life. I would let them all build up, and then I would spiral, and then I would miss out on actually enjoying my life because I was worrying over things that in the grand scheme of things didn't matter. And now, because I don't sweat the small stuff, I have the space, the capacity to be able to deal with the big things when they come along. So we're here now at this point where I've told you all of the things that are kind of involved in getting yourself to that point. And now I'm kind of just going to tell you what I do and how I just live life and how I can stop myself from being worried. Remember when we were saying in the beginning about treatment and how it's all short term? I actually find it really, really easy to just plan my year short term, 3 months at a time. I'm not making any big wild plans for 2 years or even thinking about what's to come down the line. I'm really not thinking about those things. At the moment, there are big things happening, like Devin is going to be going to secondary school next year, and there's, you know, the whole application process, and you know, like there's a lot. It's a big change in his life, and I have the wherewithal to be dealing with it now because I'm not getting myself all bogged down with all of these worries and things about stuff that I can't change. If it's something that I can't change, I'm not bothering myself with it. I love giving myself things to look forward to. Half the excitement of going on a summer holiday or family vacation is just talking about it. I mean, right now we're talking about something that, to be honest, I just cannot, unless I start a bloody GoFundMe here, I'm not going to be able to afford to do it. But I am loving talking about it. I'm kind of thinking that now I don't think I'm going to do it because I think you need to be over 16, but I saw this hayride thing for Halloween, and I thought, oh my God, I'd love to go on a hayride with the kids. But apparently it's terrifying, and I don't think that you're allowed to bring children to it. But still going to do Christmas Island this year. And, you know, just these little things that, you know, the calendar, the weeks go by so fast that you're nearly like, oh my God, I didn't even feel that coming up on myself. You know, so maybe it's not, maybe you don't do things like a family vacation or whatever. Maybe you don't have children. So, you know, it could be that you organize a nice dinner with all of the girls, or, you know, people that you haven't seen in a while that you arrange to go for breakfast and a chat. Those things, you'll always feel so much better after that. You feel, it's a little bit like it's a little bit of therapy, you know, that, you know, you have laughing and chatting with people. So, you know, just give yourself these little things to do. It's great. And just plan it just kind of 3 months at a time. Don't be worrying about what's to come. There's plenty of time for that. I've also said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't think I actually said it in a video on my channel. I think it was on the patient story. But basically, if you're finding that your fear or your anxiety about what might happen is taking over so much that it's stopping you from doing the things that you want to do, you need to just start doing those things. So you can't say, oh, there's no point planning to do that because, you know, I could be sick again by then or something. So what? Then don't do it when it happens, do you know? But chances are you will still be able to do that because it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. Start doing the things. Start making the plans. And then just a final note, okay? And this is, I suppose, the answer to, maybe I'll actually just put this in the beginning of the video as well so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. But this is the answer to the question. How can I get over the fear of cancer coming back? Just ask yourself, what is it that you're afraid of? What is it that you're afraid of? Are you afraid of what the treatment will be? Are you afraid of dying? Are you afraid of pain? What is it that you're afraid of? The anticipation of it all in your mind is so much worse than the reality of it. And that's true for so many things. You know, if you think about something that you might be afraid of doing, whether it's as someone with a fear of flying, Once you've actually taken the flight, you can kind of think, oh, that actually wasn't that bad. It could be a fear of, I don't know, getting your ear pierced or an injection. Once it's over, you kind of think of, God, that was not that bad. I'm telling you, fear has got this amazing ability to have a hold over you that it really, really shouldn't. And to be honest, I really, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I would just continue to live as if, particularly if it was a, late stage 3, an advanced cancer, live like it is going to come back. It could come back. There's no reason for you to start lying to yourself, telling yourself it couldn't come back. Just live like, yeah, it probably will come back. It's not back right now, so just enjoy this time. Make memories with friends and family. Enjoy the things that you are doing. And I swear I say this every single time that I'm here, but if you have things in your life that are not serving you, if you have relationships in your life that are not serving you, if you hate your job, if you don't like a particular social club or something that you're a part of, quit. Change your job. Get rid of those people from your life. Just get rid of all of the things that cause you anxiety and that are negative and whatever, because nobody has time for that. So that's it now. And honestly, I feel like I still haven't got the point across. This is such a difficult video to make. It really is, because I feel like I do have so much to say, and I feel like it is right there. It is so possible for everybody to reach that point, but I just don't know if I'm saying the helpful bits. It's hard. I suppose, and I think I said this at the start, that even if you just got 1 or 2 tips from this video to kind of get you started, even if you just feel, yeah, I do want to fix this, and yeah, I do think that I can do this, then that's enough. So that's it. God, I hope this was actually helpful, because I really feel at this point that it's not, but we shall see. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.